Welcome back to another edition of the Inside Mariemont Warriors Athletics podcast here on ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports at MariemontSports.com. My name is Jason Griefer. Mariemont Athletic Director Tom Nerl is back with us once again. Tom, good to have you back here on the program. Let's get right into it because we've got a lot to cover here today. A lot of exciting stuff, some scary stuff to cover, and we'll talk about that as we go along here on the show. Let's start off with your volleyball team, and it's been a bit of a rough patch lately for the team to say the least. Here, we start out 6-2, and then the last 2 weeks, two and a half weeks of September, we lose 6 straight before knocking off Finneytown in 4 sets to get things going again. We also look at the schedule and see the way things set up. All of those were on the road as well, so you're traveling within the league, and things just go from one to the next, and things just don't go their way for this entire road trip. So I'm wondering how much you thought that factored in, the fact they were not at home for all that time, or if there may be some other factors in play that they're still working through before they come up with this upcoming stretch with 5 straight at home to close the regular season.
Yeah, it's a game of streaks, and it's always good to be back home. But as we mentioned earlier in the season, they're a young team. We've got 2 girls on the court that received significant playing time last year. And so even though we have some letter winners on the court, they didn't get a lot of playing time. And so they are working through a lot of things. And they've done, they got off to a great start, kind of surprised us early. It wasn't really about wins this year. And then you run into that rough streak. I mean, you run into a good Indian Hill team. You run into Taylor. You run into Wyoming. Colerain, has some hitters in there for a non-league game. Kind of tripped on things on ourselves at Reading, but Reading came out and got the sweep. And then we put things back. But I think one thing that you're noticing with this team that you did not see last year is that even the 3-game loss sets are going long games. There's a lot of 25-20, a lot of 25-21. The one game at Reading, I think it was 23-17 and then 23-20 in games, and we end up dropping those games. So working things out with a young team, but they are competitive. It is a lot better volleyball. And our 2 seniors, Amy Moeller and Anna Scalina, have been getting a lot of work, a lot of leadership opportunities. But then our young players, Cindy Doty, Riley Lambert, Bella Mason, have really come around. Those are sophomores with significant playing time, really starting to find their niche as well, along with Allie Mayer and Reagan Asbury, two of our 3 juniors. So so we get a stretch at home here now. Get to see Seven Hills tonight, which is a different opponent we haven't seen in a while. And then we get some familiarity with Deer Park, and then of course Wyoming rides to town for Wyoming week on Thursday. So a lot of opportunities. 6-9, great chance to right the ship here right before the the tournament draw. Maybe get to 500 or game within 500, get a good draw, and finish things all strong next week.
That can really help out as far as seeding goes in the postseason if they can get things going on the home stretch. As you said, the young team learned a lot of hard lessons through this last stretch, but hopefully they come out the better for it in this next home stretch. Yeah. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about your tennis team. And boy, what a year they have had. They wound up finishing second in the league to Indian Hill. That's not really a shock to anyone, but we look at the way the season's gone, 15-3 overall. And most recently, a 3-2 loss to Turpin, who won the ECC and basically blew through the ECC. So no shame in that one right there. Turpin's an excellent program, but we've been playing well all season long. I can't really point to one person who has stood out because everybody seems to have been pitching in to this team this year. So I'm wondering at that point, how do you envision Coach Spreen kind of putting his lineups together in a position that can eventually get you out of the sectionals and maybe get you the districts on the 14th?
Yeah, he's really looking forward to that with the sectional play this week. Last year, the whole team qualified for districts. And so as Kate Taylor, who qualified 2 years ago, told her teammates on senior day, it's a lot more fun when a lot more people go. So, hopefully we can get the whole team on to the next level. Part of it's great leadership. This group has been around forever together. Kate Taylor has played well all year. You have Ella Malfa and Lucy Glassmeyer, 2 of the underclassmen on the team, giving us great singles play throughout. I can't remember which match it was. Maybe the Wyoming match. Malfa went 2.5 hours to get the win. 2.5 hours of playing, 2.5 hours of anything is a long time. It's longer than a Friday night football game, even though it didn't seem longer last Friday. But that's a lot of time to hit a tennis ball back and forth, and she got the win there. So a great job by that sophomore. But then you have your doubles team of Caroline Solar and Lucy Neville. They're going to be highly seeded going into sectional play tomorrow. So, hopefully they can advance. And then, along the way, you have other seniors, Abby Black, Peyton, Wilhelm, Annie Byers. They're all jumping in the lineup at different times, getting wins, and just really a phenomenal season, back-to-back seasons for this group of girls. We did not lose a lot from last year. So I'm just putting things together. And as you said, 15-3, our JVs and our varsity had good showings in the Coaches Classic. Our varsity team was in the B flight. We've never been in the B flight. We've never been that high, and they're really good showing there. So, just great play from our seniors, great play from all of our girls, really throughout the year. And then to playing the sectionals tomorrow, really looking forward to see how many we can move on to the districts.
We'll be keeping an eye on that. And we'll talk about that. We'll recap that on the next show for sure. Let's switch gears. Let's hit the links and. Good play in the sectionals. We're going to get 3 individuals through into the districts here, 2 on the boys' side, 1 on the girls' side. The boys are going to go to Glenview this week. Lainey Hurd on the girls' side, she's headed to Pipestone with the opportunity to try to advance even further beyond. I'm wondering how the coaches, how the golfers are feeling about these 2 courses in particular, how they feel like it suits their games. And also want to give congrats to JV team winning the CHL title as well. So that's a good deal there. But for your varsity golfers, how are we feeling about the way the course sets up for their games?
I think it sets up for both of them really well. Drew Seichert has had a great season all throughout the season. Him and Tom Bucher, a lot of times not sharing on the same match, but splitting who was getting medalists for us in a number of our matches throughout the season. So both golfers have had great seasons throughout. They're ready. They're excited. They're excited for the tournament and see if they can get back to districts, to get to districts and beyond. Some high scores from their teammates last week, but the league has just been phenomenal this year with Indian Hill and Madera, the way they've been golfing, and Wyoming coming on late here. So it was really difficult to win the league, but a good showing for Tom and Drew in the sectionals, and then Lainey as well. Lainey has kind of been our solo girls golfer for the past 2 years, joined this year with Janie Neville. We were very fortunate to join Madera's team and have their coach work with the girls throughout the year. So Lainey has worked hard to reach this point. Medalist in a couple of matches. She finished 4th in the sectionals. She's really excited to move on. And so being up at Pikestone, I really think this is going to play well for her, and really excited to see what she can do on Wednesday.
And best of luck to all of them as they look to try to advance on in the state postseason for sure. Let's switch gears. Let's head on to cross country. And we see the schedule coming up. The CHL championships coming up on the 16th up in Mason, but we cannot talk about cross country without talking about just a dazzling performance from both the boys and the girls this past weekend up at Princeton. I could go down and list all the times and who ran well, but that would take an entire podcast unto itself, because you look at the CHL leaderboard now for both the boys and the girls. There's a lot of Mariemont names dotted all over the place, and we're seeing the location for these top times being at Princeton. So the course set up very well for them, but they delivered the goods as well. How did you see this performance from the team, both the boys and the girls, and how do they look to continue that going into the next couple of weeks in preparation for the league championship?
Yeah, it's been a great season. Some of the weather they've had to run in, especially later, the cooler temperatures work out well, but the teams train well. Of course, our boys team advanced to regionals and up to state last year. So we knew we had a lot coming back with them, and now the girls starting to come around. But as you said, at Princeton, just a great race for our boys. Sam Beeler finishing top in that race. Our girls taking 3rd. I know Caroline Buck. I think she had a personal best to get around the 21-minute mark in the girls race. So everyone's starting to hit their mark, and this is the time of the year you want to do it. Coach Dragovich does a great job preparing our team and then getting them to taper right at the right time. And we're hitting that right about now. But our boys teams, you have three living right around the 17-minute mark or a little bit lower. Sam that we mentioned, Bennett Turan, Ben Fonstock, who's also a soccer player, so he gets a lot of running in. But then you throw in Andrew Chen, Henry Buck, and Santi Biro, and they're living 18 minutes or a little bit below. So they're really looking good. And we're really excited about the races that we have coming up. And then to run the CHL meet up in Mason again on a course that we're familiar with. I think it really bodes well for us on the boys' side. And then the girls, they're looking to make some noise for themselves. We already mentioned Buck, but Elise Kelly and Grace at the 21-minute mark. And then you throw in Lily Bauer and Jess Beeler and Bridget Gilmore just over the 21-minute mark. And so that's a pretty strong pack that we're going to have coming into the CHL and hopefully beyond. So great time of the year to run. It looks like, I think last year and 2 years ago, I think we were still hitting 90 degrees, late in September and early October. So this is going to be great running for them the next couple of weeks. So really excited to see Coach Dragovich do her magic with them, and then for the kids to get out and run. Just a great time of the year. And tournament time is a great time of the year. So
absolutely. And not having 90-degree weather makes it all the much more enjoyable for the runners.
For everybody.
No one likes that. Obviously, I'm sure you'll be out there watching at least part of it there. So yeah, I don't think you'll be wanting to partake in that either. If we can,
I'm not going to run it. So yeah, I'll
definitely maybe find a spot nearby we can park and enjoy some air conditioning if that comes to pass. Yes. There you go. See, we're thinking ahead here, folks. That's what we do on the podcast. Let's move gears here and let's move on to the soccer pitch here, and let's talk about the girls first. We've things have been going very, very well for the girls on the season. 7-3-2. We're 4-1 in the CHL, but coming off of a very, very surprising result, losing 4-0 to a Turpin team that has been struggling on the season. They're in the bottom half of the ECC. So very, very surprising result here, especially given that we've been playing so well coming in, winning 4 in a row. We still have everything we want in front of us, with an opportunity looking ahead to the 13th against Taylor, who is in first place. So we got a shot right there to at least grab a share of the league crown if we take care of business against Reading and Taylor at home. But I'm wondering, given this result against Turpin, how much you expect that to serve as a wake-up call for the girls, given the fact this is not a strong Turpin team, and they really took it to you.
Yeah, they did, but it's also they're also a D2 team and they're a bigger school, and so they have a lot of athletes to pull from, and they're rebuilding as well. Bad day for us, good day for them, but a loss like that isn't always bad this time of the year. Just when you're winning, it masks a lot of ills. And so sometimes a loss like this just reminds you what you need to work on and what you need to isolate on and improve on as you go through the home stretch of the season. And that's where we are now. So it's a non-league game. You like to get them. It's out of our division. So it's not season ending. Like you said, it is a wake up call. It's going to be a funny week this week with Reading taking a pause with a couple of their teams over there. So we have a long week and we'll have McNicholas next week. But like you said, 4-1 in the league. Taylor's 4-0-1. That's the last game of the season for us. Taylor has Madera in between there. So just looking at that, the first important goal that they have is to win the league title. And then of course you go into district, sectional and district, and then regional and state. So our first step of our goals is still within reach, and that's to win a league title. And so we'll get refocused. It's a little banged up. All teams are. So just get healthy here this week, get back, get a good match against McNick and finish strong with Taylor, and then the makeup game with Reading. We got seniors doing great things. Maddie Murphy and Shannon O'Brien leading the way, and then you have Olivia Trich, coming up behind them as the junior, but also doing a lot of scoring for us. Then Erica Dewey in the net, just doing another great job. So all the right pieces are in place. We got everybody, getting ready to get loose here and finish strong here for the season.
Over on the boys' side, kind of a similar type of story right now. We were running well through the month of September. We were unbeaten in our first six, and drop a tough one to Wyoming 3-2. And then this past Saturday, take on an always strong Oakwood program, and they get the better of you 4-2. We look at the schedule, the way things are setting up now. We've got 3 road matches coming up to close the regular season. Scheduled matches with Reading, Batavia, and then Taylor to close it out on the 12th here. League title's not going to happen for the boys this season. Unfortunately, a couple of ties kind of take you out of the running for that. It looks like it's going to come down to either Madeira or Wyoming to decide the league champion this year. But obviously now we're also having an eye on towards the postseason, not only with the draw, but things we want to get cleaned up ahead of time there. What are you seeing and what are you hearing about the boys and what they're looking to get shored up to the point where when we get to the postseason, the sectionals, and hopefully further beyond that, they're as close to top form as possible?
Yeah, we had a lot of question marks when we came into the season this year, losing so much from that state championship team last year. Just who's going to take over the scoring? We had some ideas and how everything's going to work with the defense, and we've had some breakdowns at times. But overall, Martin Eisenhower and Braden Ebert, they've led the offense, either with scoring and assist and on the attack. And so we figured that part out. The Wyoming game, a little bit of a disappointing loss. I mean, Wyoming gets up first. We battle back. We tied, and then they get a quick goal. They just sent everybody after the net and got one in right after we tied it up. So, very good plan for Wyoming. Disappointing loss for us. And then, like you said, a long trip up to Oakwood, and Oakwood gets better of us 4-2. But Reading's taking a pause as well, so we'll have a week on the boys team. So we'll have a week to get our legs back under us. We'll go to Batavia, who's always tough, out 32, and then finish with Taylor next week. And that's, again, like you said, 3 road games. But it's what you got to do, and you can't get your first goal of a league title. So then you look at the sectional, getting a good draw. Madeira's in our sectional, or we're in their sectional, how you want to look at it. So same different sides of the bracket, but then you also get a little chance for a little payback. We're a little bit different team than we were in that first league game. I'm sure they're a little bit different too, but just looking forward to that matchup. And then, getting some of our other seniors, Evan Farrell and Sam Chelino, they've been a big part of what we've done so far, just keeping them involved and making a run here in the sectional tournament.
As we've talked about, we lost a lot from a state championship team a year ago, and we've documented here on the podcast this season that it's been a younger team. They've sort of had to find their way along the way. As we get closer to the postseason, I'm wondering how much are we going to be looking to the guys who have experience off that state championship team a year ago to sort of lead the new guys and say, okay, this is what we need to do at this point in the season if we want to get, out of the sectional into the districts and beyond.
It's and that's a great point, because your seniors have to lead, and the ones that played a part in the championship last year have to show the younger ones the way. Sometimes the younger athletes come up to a successful program and think, hey, things just happen. And then your experienced athletes know, no, someone has to make them happen. We've been without Henry Buck due to injury the last couple of weeks as well. We expect him back here as well. And Henry was a part of things last year as well. But we have 3 guys that are also runners on the boys cross country team that's very successful. So not only have they been successful in soccer, but they have that success in another sport, and just those guys are successful for a reason, because they work hard and they know what it takes. And I think they can help lend that experience, whether it be in cross country or soccer, just help the younger ones say, hey, let's step up. We got to work a little bit harder. And, once you get to the sectional tournament, it could be your last day. So you got to keep playing hard and see what happens.
We'll look to finish out the regular season strong before we get into the sectionals, though, in a couple of weeks. Let's switch gears here. And as we like to do in the fall season, let's wrap up our discussion talking about your football team. And boy, they nearly gave everyone in the community and around the league a shock, and not for the right reasons from your perspective anyway. As they take on Deer Park with just 1 win on the season. A lot of people thought looking into this, it should be no problem. We take care of business in this one, and we get set up for the big showdown against Wyoming at Kuzel Stadium the next Friday. And this was anything but a taking care of business type of performance from your team. Deer Park came out, played very, very well throughout, led 28-14 going into the fourth quarter, and we finally see the Warriors kick it into gear, score 27 points in the fourth quarter for a 41-28 win, and in the process stay one game behind Wyoming in the league standings, with Wyoming, as I said, coming to Cousel Stadium this Friday night. Take us through this Deer Park affair, how many antacids you were chewing as it was going along, and also looking forward, how you feel your team matches up with this Wyoming team in trying to end their 54-game regular season win streak.
You said we almost gave everyone a shock. I think it more appropriately, Deer Park almost gave everyone a shock. Deer Park's always well prepared when they play us. And one of our assistant coaches say, why do we struggle so much? And I say, no, Deer Park gets up for us. They have a great game plan. They run the option. They hold the ball as long as they can. They wind it down to the 20-second mark on the play clock, and they run their play. And we just we couldn't stop them. The big fullback going ahead, and they had a couple of nice wrinkles in there. Running a jet sweep for another one of their touchdowns. We cut it 14-7. Think we're in business. They score, in the next series, and stay on the sideline and think, okay, well, maybe it's just not our night. Some nights you just run into that, and just a little bit out of sorts with things, and went back to the game plan in the second half and a little bit more success. But realistically, we're down 14 with 6 minutes to go in the game, and it really got a lucky bounce, and literally a lucky bounce, because Deer Park punted, the ball bounced in the 40 and bounced back to the 20. So he took over on their 20, which was fortunate. You get a couple good plays there. You're in the end zone. You start to believe a little bit. We're down to like the 2:15 mark. They drop back to pass. We get a big hit on the quarterback. We scoop up the ball. 2 plays later, we're in the end zone. Then we're up 7, and then again, next series another big hit, and a lineman picks off a pass. So go figure. I mean, that was. I told a number of people it's probably the craziest 6 minutes of high school football I think I've ever been fortunate enough to to witness. One of our players said, "Isn't that the greatest game ever?" I go, "No, it was the worst game for us ever, but it might have been the greatest comeback." So it was very fun. If you were a Mariemont fan in the stands, or trying to decipher some of my tweets, there's a number of misspellings anyway from the sidelines. First of all, because I have fat thumbs, and second of all, because I can't see. But then just trying to get everything out. And I look back afterwards, trying to remember how everything was. And I go, wow, that was a really bad tweet. So, but just a really exciting game for our kids. Very emotional game. You really don't want to have that big of an emotional game with the league leader coming in on a 54 game winning streak. They've won more games in this winning streak than FC Cincinnati, I believe, has won as a major league team, and they've almost won as many as the Reds have this year. So, lest I digress. They're a very good team. They don't have the Evan Prater, and they don't have all the weapons that they've had in years past, but they are a very solid team. They're a good team. Some different league schools have taken them a little bit of the distance, and so we have to figure out how to take them all the way to the distance, make some luck for ourselves, and then just try to get out here with a W. Everything else that happens, we have goals. We're second place in the region right now. A league goal is always in back of our mind, and we're in a position to do that. Wyoming doesn't want to let that happen. They don't want that streak to end, so they're going to come in here pretty fired up as well. But 7-0 Wyoming, 6-1 Mariemont here at Tom Crosby Field at Cousel Stadium on Friday night. Big game environment. It's fun to have here. It's going to be just like a playoff game, because it is. And not looking ahead, but right behind them you have an unbelievable Reading team, and after them you have a resurgent Taylor team. So it doesn't get easy here the rest of the way. I know one more win, I know definitely secures us for a playoff berth, but the coaches are really focused this week to see if we can adopt some of the things other teams have done to slow down this Wyoming team and get out here with a win Friday night.
Should be a good one there. As Tom said, 7-0 Wyoming, 6-1 Mariemont. win this one. Wyoming's regular season win streak ends. You also move into a first place tie, so you still got the shot at the league crown. And as you said, Taylor coming up in a couple of weeks. I got to see them against Wyoming. That is a very, very solid team, especially defensively. They play very well, so that's going to be a big challenge. But this week, get your tickets as early as you can, because this is going to be a big one for sure. So with that, we'll wrap things up here today. Tom, certainly appreciate the time, and hopefully the next time we reconvene, we'll be talking about a couple of league champions.
That sounds good. We'll do our best, and thanks for having us again.
That is Mariemont Athletic Director Tom Nerl joining us here in MariemontSports.com for the Inside Mariemont Warriors Athletics podcast here on ESPN Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.